From Premier League winners to relegation contenders, once again, Leicester City need a rebuild. Despite rumors about his job being at risk, we're embarking on this realistic rebuild with Ruud van Nistelrooy at the helm. This save kicks off in late January thanks to the live start point feature as we try to prevent Leicester from another drop to the championship. Leicester enter this save fresh off a huge win against Spurs, proof that even FC25 recognizes Jamie Vardy's knack for delivering in big matches. However, injuries have been a major concern for this squad. The loss of Hermansen, in particular, appears to have played a big role in their recent struggles. One key objective is to give our captain a proper send-off, as Vardy will be retiring at the end of Season 1 in this save, a very real possibility in his career. Tactically, we won't see any major changes to the setup. We'll be using the 4-2-3-1 wide formation and sticking to the standard assignments for set pieces. It is surprising to me that Leicester didn't make any January signings to address their squad issues, especially in a relegation scrap. Even better, I looked for players that had connections to Ruud van Nistelrooy, so I turned to his former team that he managed, PSV, and uncovered that Olivier Bouscali has his contract expiring at the end of the season, thus eligible for a pre-contract deal. Bouscali joined PSV from Nice all the way back in the summer of 2019 and has become a key figure in their defense. His ability to play both center back and left back combined with his composure on the ball makes him an important asset in build-up play. He was instrumental in PSV's Eredivisie title win in the 23-24 season, and with his contract running out at season's end, there's a lot of top European clubs looking to acquire his signature. We'll move forward in this simulation up to this FA Cup fixture against Manchester United. Leicester just played this and heartbreakingly lost in the final minutes. But with this competition being a big focus for our manager objectives, it was nice to see Vardy kick off the scoring for us, and we got 2 more goals following that red card for Euro. But we'll keep the simulation action going, some mixed results to close February, and into March, we're going to struggle for form. That was expected as a side towards the bottom end of the Premier League table, but we've got an important fixture coming up against Ipswich Town. Very similar to how the Premier League standings currently look, 2 out of the 3 teams between us, Wolves, and Ipswich Town will see relegation to the championship. We need to ensure we win this match in order to keep our Premier League hopes alive. Still plenty to play for at the top end of the table too, with both Arsenal and Liverpool still in title contention. A win would definitely help out with squad morale. This entire team is unhappy, and for good reason. We cannot afford another drop down to the championship. As we kick off these highlights, I do want to quickly touch on the Leicester situation. It is heartbreaking to see the club in its current status. I feel like not too long ago they were really competing to get Champions League spots, and we are coming on the decade mark when they last won the Premier League title during the 2015-2016 season. But we'll start these highlights with the main man, Jamie Vardy. A nice change of direction to open up some space, taking him only 3 minutes to get the first goal of this match, in what will be likely the last time he appears in a Leicester shirt, at least for the gameplay. It's nice to see him get on the scoreboard, but Ipswich are not going to be giving up here. Off of a set piece, they are dangerous, and we are a bit sloppy here in possession and on the counter attack. They pick up hold of the ball, and just like that, George Hurst is going to get the equalizer in the 29th minute. So despite us fighting hard to get that opening goal, we give it up right away. We're into the 36th minute, and Ipswich continuing their attack. Now it's Davis skipping by a couple of players, a cross sent in, and a nice bit of play. Had that not been better positioned by Wout-Face, it could have easily been a second goal for Ipswich. Even some acrobatic efforts as we close out the opening 45 minutes. It's going to be a substitution as one former Spurs player makes way for another. Winks being brought off and Skip being brought on. Skip over to our left midfielder. Now it's Ndidi, who's also recovered from his injury, and we will get the go-ahead goal in the 74th minute. I will say Mavididi stepped up throughout this rebuild, both in terms of his goal contributions and when he scored those goals. It couldn't have come at a better time in this one as we pick up 3 crucial points. With just one Premier League fixture left to play against Bournemouth, here is how the table stands. We jump ahead of Ipswich, technically equal on goal difference. Fortunately, we will pick up 1 point. While not exactly the result we wanted, it was enough at the end of the day, with both Ipswich and Wolves losing their matches So we're going to escape relegation in this first season. Middle of the pack, the top performer is probably Everton in that 9th place spot. And Liverpool did end up jumping ahead of Arsenal for the Premier League title. I wasn't able to grab the championship standings, but it's Burnley, Norwich, and Leeds that'll see promotion to the Prem. As far as the FA Cup, we saw a 5th round exit to Millwall with Manchester City defeating Southampton in the final on penalties. A 4th round exit from us in the Carabao Cup with Newcastle defeating Liverpool in the final. The UEFA Super Cup goes to Real Madrid, and Liverpool end up as Champions League winners against Atletico Madrid. Lyon defeating Galatasaray in the Europa League on penalties. Unfortunately, I had an issue with this save. Maybe it was because of the live start point feature, but the Conference League seemed to be stuck on the playoffs, so I'm not sure who won this competition. This is kind of what I mean as far as Mavedidi's goal contributions. He was the top goal scorer at the club. Keep in mind, this factors in real life results about halfway through the season, and unsurprisingly, it's Erling Haaland who takes the Premier League Golden Boots. And Buemo and Chris Wood not too far behind them. Cool to see them both finish in the top 5. No appearances from us though in the top 10. One thing Leicester do have going for them is that they've got a great group of young rising stars. Bilal Al-Khanous is definitely one of them as he leads the club in assists. Mo Salah will lead the Prem in this category, and unfortunately once again, no Leicester players in the top 10. You've got to give some credit to Jordan Pickford, a big reason for Everton's rise in the Premier League standings, at least compared to recent years. Hopefully, once we have a full year under our belt, we'll start to feature more in these categories. This isn't something I've seen before. 5 Everton players featuring in the Premier League team of the season, despite the club finishing 9th in the standings. Again, not sure if that was a bug in this save, but still kind of cool to see. And shockingly enough, Beto features as the Premier League player this season, despite not even featuring in the top 10 for goals. A couple of updates for you on players with expiring contracts. Buonanotte is heading back to Brighton after his loan spell. Jamie Vardy, of course, retiring at the end of the season. He did his job helping us stay in the Prem. Danny Ward wanted too big of a squad role, so I ultimately let his contract get under 6 months, at which point Saikur Rizespor swooped in for a pre-contract deal. And finally, Otson Edouard returning to Crystal Palace after his loan spell. Just like my Fiorentina career mode, I created a tracker to better follow player statistics over the course of the seasons and ultimately make better decisions. There's a link to it in the description below, and you can filter by any sort of columns. I think the ones that I find the most helpful are the rating growth, because that's obviously been removed in FC25 career mode. The valuation growth is also pretty helpful to kind of see which players are getting on really well. Obviously, you might want to put a lot more time into developing a player like Al-Khanous since he's growing a lot in his valuation, or maybe listen to any transfer offers that are coming in. I think there's a lot of potential with this Leicester squad. A few strong transfer windows could make all the difference, and we already have a solid foundation now. Just running you through some of the changes to the starting 11, we have Boskali coming in at the left center back position. He's obviously our pre-contract player arrival. And Didi will take over as captain with Jamie Vardy's retirement. Really good news as Fatawu returns into the starting 11. Had a strong start to the season. Unfortunately, he picked up an ACL injury halfway through, but he's now fully recovered. And Cannon fills in at the striker position. That is an area we need to address because he actually joined Sheffield United in real life, and I want to make sure he's transfer listed to reflect that. All in all, we have 56 million to work with in our transfer budget. Running through some of these board expectations, we need to sign 2 crucial players and also look to achieve a mid-table Premier League finish at around a 16 run in the FA Cup. While I wasn't able to get the Sheffield United offer, I think West Ham looking for a striker seems quite realistic. Cannon will stay in the Premier League and join a West Ham side that is in desperate need of a young talent. We agreed to a 10 million deal, which will see him join the Hammers. It's a shame Leicester let him go because he's got decent potential in career mode, and I probably would have had him play a role in the squad. I was on the lookout for Jamie Vardy's regen, and Bobby Jarvis is the player I came up with, a 70 rated English striker, just 18 years old. Unfortunately, not high enough rated that he would make it into the starting 11. So instead, I looked at some other striker options. Karim Konate definitely came to mind. Leicester have signed players from RB Salzburg before. The only downside to him is that he's also recovering from an ACL injury, so I'm not sure he's going to be ready to make a Premier League move and get first team minutes right away. On the other hand, Liam Delap draws a lot of comparisons to Jamie Vardy with his relentless pressing, pace, and clinical finishing. He's having a great season right now for Ipswich Town, and if they were to get relegated like they did in this save, I think a number of Premier League sides would be calling. He started his career at Derby County's academy before moving to Manchester City in 2019, where he made his senior debut in 2020, scoring in an EFL Cup match. Loan spells at Stoke City and Preston North End were challenging, but he found form at Hull City last season, scoring 8 goals in 31 games. He's obviously continued that momentum, securing a £20 million move to Ipswich Town, where he's scored 9 goals already this season. It's very likely that if he were to leave Ipswich Town, that fee would be north of 25 million. It's all dependent though, and ultimately we got a bargain of a deal with his valuation of 30.5 million. I won't be stopping there with transfers though. I definitely wanted to add another left-sided midfielder who can play a number of different positions with Viljot Swedberg. A promising Swedish talent, Viljot rose through Hammarby's academy before joining Celta Vigo in 2022. Known for his goal-scoring ability and strong tactical understanding, he made his senior debut for Sweden last summer. He comes from a footballing family, with both of his parents having played for Sweden, and I think he demonstrates a combination of natural skill and high football IQ. To add on to that, he spent his childhood years in Spain, which helped him become fluent in Spanish, making it very easy for him to transition to La Liga. All in all, just a fascinating player and someone I would recommend signing in career mode. We brought him in at a 10 million fee. He's showing great potential, and I'm excited to see what kind of role he can play for us. Running through some of our other outgoing transfers, we had Vestergaard leaving for Fenerbahce for 3.5 million. I think as far as next destinations go, the Super League or the Bundesliga are likely for him. Longtime Leicester player Hamza Chowdhury leaves for Everton for 3 million. Just don't see him ever make it into the first team as our starting right back. Bobby de Cordova-Reid actually requested a transfer away due to lack of playtime, so he joins Club Brugge for 2 million. And Connor Cody will follow him over to Belgium, where he joins Bruges for 1.75 million. I do want to go over our scouting networks. We start with a 4-star scout, and to add on to that, we'll bring in 2 additional 5-star, 4-star scouts. Pretty much all of these scouting plans were inspired by Leicester's 2015-2016 season, starting by looking for a striker in England with a poacher playstyle. This was inspired by Jamie Vardy, who, after joining Leicester in 2012 from Fleetwood Town for a non-league record 1 million fee, helped Leicester win promotion to the Premier League in the 2013-2014 season. His breakthrough 15-16 season saw him score in 11 consecutive league matches, breaking his current manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy's record, and leading Leicester to a historic Premier League title. Next up, we'll search France for a holding and deep-lying playmaker CDM, as well as a playmaker center midfielder, inspired by N'Golo Kanté, who joined Leicester City in 2015 for 5.6 million and became a key figure in their title-winning campaign. His unmatched work rate, ball-winning ability, and defensive coverage made him vital to Claudio Ranieri's counter-attacking system. Kanté led the league in tackles and interceptions that season, and quickly caught the attention of high-profile clubs, moving to Chelsea for 32 million that summer, but still obviously well received for his attitude and for his contributions to Leicester City. We'll conclude our scouting by searching Algeria for an inside forward, wide maker right midfielder, as well as an inside forward right winger, who draws resemblances to Riyad Mahrez, joining Leicester City in January 2014 for a modest 450,000 transfer fee. He began as a relatively unknown talent. However, his contributions during the 2015-16 season were unmatched, with 17 goals and 10 assists. His flair and creativity ultimately caught the attention of Manchester City, where he joined them in 2018 on a 60 million transfer. We're going to kick off our Premier League season against Manchester United, but here's the new look starting 11 after a summer of transfers. I'm liking the squad. I think we've upped our chances of not only staying in the Prem, but hopefully solidifying a mid-table finish, if not better. To add on to that, the fans seem to believe in the project Van Nistelrooy is doing, and while our opening result didn't go our way, we held our own against Manchester United. We'll sim through a couple of these opening months and catch a break in November, where we secured a 3-2 win against Manchester City. Delap playing against his former team and ultimately scoring the match-winning goal. December saw some victories as well, which will bring us to the January transfer window, where we sit just outside of the top 8 spots, currently in 10th, so achieving our target of finishing mid-table, and more importantly, well clear of the relegation zone where Nottingham Forest, Burnley, and Norwich are struggling. We've seen good growth for some of our younger talents, most notably Delap, who's now up to an 82 rating. No surprise, as big clubs like Chelsea came swooping in for Fatawu. The 20 million bid was intriguing, but due to his goal and assist contributions, I definitely want to see how he gets on here at Leicester City. A good start to the month, but not a great end to the month as we get 4 consecutive losses. But we regained some form in February, once again defeating Manchester City, this time 1-0, and Delap continuing his goal scoring against them. March saw another big victory against Spurs, so we'll continue that trajectory as well. April saw a victory against Manchester United with our new signing Villiot scoring the match-winning goal. And we're going to close out May with 3 consecutive victories, so very happy with how this season ended. I'm surprised we didn't finish in the top 8, as Liverpool are going to repeat as Premier League winners. We did manage to move up 1 spot in the standings though compared to where we were at in January. There has been a shakeup to the relegation zone though, with Burnley, Norwich, and now Leeds seeing the drop to the championship after just securing promotion last year. Both Wolves and Ipswich will be seeing their return to the Premier League. We saw a 5th round exit in the FA Cup with Chelsea defeating Coventry City in the final. A 4th round exit in the Carabao Cup to Brighton on penalties with Manchester United defeating Sheffield United in the final. Liverpool defeated Lyon in the UEFA Super Cup with Benfica shocking the world and defeating Juventus in the Champions League final. Fenerbahce getting the win against Olympiacos in the Europa League. And once again, the Conference League is bugged. There's definitely something wrong with this save. Liam Delap had a huge season for us, 22 goals across 44 appearances. It made him tie with 2 other players for the 2nd most goals in the Premier League, with Joao Pedro leading the way for Brighton. And Delap was the only player from our club to feature in the top 10. Elkanus leading the way with assists. He reached the double-digit mark with 11 from 44, and a pretty respectable outing to rank in the top 5 of Premier League assists. Much better as far as clean sheets go, Hermansen ranking as the 5th best goalkeeper in the Prem, ahead of some notable names who feature below him. Really intrigued what goes into the team of the season selection process, as about face of all our players will make his debut into the Premier League team of the season at left center back. And a little bit normal for the player of the season selection process, as Joao Pedro grabs the award as top goal scorer. A couple of updates on expiring contracts. Ricardo Pereira has probably reached his end as a crucial first team player, so I let Bologna negotiate with him on a pre-contract deal once he went under 6 months left on his current contract. Jordan Ayew will be retiring at the end of the season. He's been dropping off significantly in his rating. And Harry Winks, because we've got so many center defensive midfielders in this squad, I felt like he was one of the ones I was selecting the least, so unrealistically, he will be joining Athletic Club Bilbao next season. Got a few Youth Academy updates for you, starting with Joseph Lecomte, a 66 rated French center defensive midfielder with 89 to 94 potential. Looks like an incredible player and someone that would be ready for first team and substitute action within probably 2 seasons. Abdallah Naji is a 64 rated right winger from Algeria with a 76 to 94 potential. He's got great pace. Hopefully he can develop those skill moves to better resemble Mahrez. And I know we kind of signed a Jamie Vardy regen with Liam Delap, but we managed to find Carter Ford, a center attacking mid with 87 to 94 potential. I think this save had a great foundations and a lot of storylines in the works. As I was progressing to season 3, unfortunately, we came upon a bug, or each time I tried progressing the season, the game would just crash, so I don't think a 3rd season is possible in this save. It puts me into a difficult situation because I've devoted a lot of time and effort into this recording. Rather than just completely scrapping this project, I thought I would show it to you and kind of air out some of my frustrations on EA. I guess I'm going to have to double check every live start point feature if I do want to utilize something like that for these videos. I know there's a lot of moving parts and I appreciate the feature being added, but it is super disappointing when things like this happen. Anyways, in the background, I went over some of the job offers I had. I did actually try accepting some of these and see if it would let me get to the 3rd season, but no, that's also not the case. I would like to hear your feedback on how I can revisit this Leicester concept in the future. Maybe we'll see how they do in the Premier League this year, and we can revisit a rebuild in the Championship at a later time.